I've now reviewed over 60 mice, and personally, just for testing purposes, I really enjoy it when they take a risk. I talk a lot about safe shapes and how designs need to follow certain rules, but I already have a few mice that help me aim extremely well. So for me, testing the Mad Catz Rat 4 was quite interesting, because these mice are definitely unique in my collection. I actually don't play too badly with it either, but it's not something that I'd use in competition. This is just a fun design, so I'll say straight up, this mouse isn't for me. However, it does have some great features, and some things I think could be improved as well. It has a top optical sensor with the 3310, on-run switches on the buttons, which are popular in all game types, and it weighs about 91 grams with a bit of cable. So it has some main specs right. The shape and design is going to be the biggest factor. Here's a tour so you know what it looks like. The shape might seem crazy, but it does follow some basic design principles. Fairly flat surfaces for your fingers and thumb, and some subtle angles to assist with grip. There's a thumb rest if you don't like leaving it on the pad, and while it might look cool to some, I'd like to point out that if you remove parts of the shell, the structure does lose a bit of strength, as this panel can be pushed in. The back can actually be extended, so if you're not comfortable, you can adjust it a little bit. I didn't find too much of an advantage to this, but it is interesting to have. This is a very flat profile mouse, barely any curve on top, but because you can adjust the back, you might still be able to use it in palm grip, although I found that I sometimes put too much weight on it and it tilted. Don't think I'd ever use that feature, but it's interesting anyway. For measurements, the grip width looks to be about 6.5 centimeters. It's quite wide, and the base length is only about 9.5 centimeters, and the height is about 3.5. For hand sizes, I'd say 16 to 18.5 could palm grip it, 16 to 19.5 for claw, and maybe 17 to 20 for fingertip. But honestly, unless you really like this design, I don't think it's ideal for any hand size or grip. It can just be used with those. And the weight distribution seems to be central, in line with the sensor. Moving on to the buttons, here is a listen to the clicks. Left and right aren't too loud, and they have a good amount of tension. Middle click feels fairly standard, easy enough to press in, and the scroll steps are fairly soft, and it only has a very slight rattle. I'd say it's more suited to browsing. The side buttons have a good amount of travel, and feel decent, not too hard to reach, although maybe a bit thin. The DPI button took some getting used to, as it's up and down, but seems like one button. And the mode button is quite hard to press in, most likely to avoid accidental clicks. In the latency testing, neither is accurate, but compared with the G403, it seems to have a bit more delay, but nothing substantial or of any concern in game. I'm happy with the buttons, they were great in game and should work for MOBA and FPS. Now testing the implementation of the sensor, it feels fine for rocket jumping. I can't make it spin out with fast movements, but it does spin out if I tilt the mouse and slam it down. It's rare that that's a problem though, so don't worry about it too much. Zooming in for the sniper test, it tracks pixel by pixel, and it's as smooth as expected at 400 and 1600 dpi. I couldn't find any acceleration. The lift-off distance can be adjusted from under 1 to 1 DVD on cloth, and from 1 to 2 DVDs on a hard pad. There's no delay that I've noticed, and testing the 360, it's just a bit off the G403, so not too bad. As always, measure your 360 before changing mouse. In the line test, it looks smooth on hard and soft pads. I can't see any skipping or other problems. The lift-off movement is well controlled, and there's no lens rattle. Just a note, I tested this with the Razer Gigantus, which has a bit more control than the Razer Goliath speed, and something was catching on the base. So I think you might need smooth pads for this one. That means speed cloth pads or hard pads. So that's a solid performance. The 3310 is a great sensor. For build quality, when tapping it, there are a few rattles, and when shaking it, there are also some rattles. Not sure what's rattling though. For textures and materials, there are rubberized surfaces where your hand and fingers would touch, the rest is plastic. It has some really unique areas in the mouse too, probably worth a quick look. The mouse feet are relatively thin, which might be why they were dragging on the Gigantus pad. The cable is a smooth and flexible braid, feels quite good and has trouble pushing the weight of the mouse back, so I quite like the cable. In the software, you can rebind M-wheel up, mouse 3, and M-wheel down, as well as the sniper button, but you can't change the mode switch, which is unfortunate. You can assign a fair few commands that you can see in the list here, including media options, as well as email and Windows specifics, then keys, favorites, and custom, so you can make your own macros, and that detects mouse and keyboard commands. In settings, the DPI goes from 50 to 5000 in steps of 50. You can also alter the sniper speed and change the lift up height a little. I wouldn't change the Rotax thing, but I'll leave it to you. And also you can turn off the lights. And as a bonus, here's the Rat 1. I was going to do a bigger review on it, but unfortunately the sensor spins out constantly. Definitely not a recommendation. It's such a cool idea though. It only weighs about 50 grams. So if they put a better sensor in, even if it increased the weight a bit, made the sensor location more central, and gave us a bit more room for fingers, and less design on top, this is the kind of mouse I would love to test, just to see if having almost no mouse in your hand could improve your aim or not. The questions are, how light is too light, and how small is too small? Hopefully I get the answers someday. In conclusion, the Rat 4 is interesting and has some great features, and if it's the kind of mouse you like, then it seems like a good pick. I think it's very niche though, meaning it's for a small audience. For most people, I think they will stick with the more traditional mice, and because parts of the structure have been removed, I do worry about the durability. Be gentle with these mice and I'd assume they will be okay. So big thanks to Mad Catz for sending this out for review. I really enjoyed checking out a different kind of mouse for a change, and it's good for what it is, but I think I would have been more interested in the Rat 1 if it had those changes I mentioned. Remember, with design, you can be different for the sake of being different, or you can be different because you're bringing a new advantage to the games. The Rat 1 could do that, I don't think the Rat 4 can, because all it's really done is alter the look. Everything else is basically the same. Hope that helps. If you'd like to purchase one of these and help support the channel, I'll leave the usual links in the description. As always, subscribe for more reviews and gaming videos, like this one, and I'll catch you in the next.